Howdy y'all, Caleb here. I'm going to do a little Seraphon list review, looking at the past 2 weekends really, just to kind of see what lists are doing well out there. I went through a whole bunch of lists on Best Coast pairings and picked out the ones that did the best, and then also some that I just kind of liked, and so the ones that jumped out to me. So I've got 3 lists for you here, and we'll go through those. First one up, and I think this is our best performing list from the last 2 weekends, was Mike Stewart at the Leeds GT in England. That was 5 rounds, 34 players, a decent-sized GT there. And he's taken Fangs of Sotek. He went 5-0. He came in first place. He won the tournament there. So great job by Mike, and he's running a very good list. So let's take a look at this. We're in Fangs of Sotek. He's got a grand strategy of spellcasting Savant that's keeping your general wizard alive, which is going to be a Slann here. In general, we can do that pretty well in our list because we do have access to bodyguards, and so that makes that a little bit easier. And the Slann is usually played a little bit further back than, it's not real aggressive as some people play different types of wizards. So I like spellcasting Savant a lot for a grand strategy. Triumphs Indomitable to help Battle Shock. We have our General as a Slann with command traits Lord of Celestial Resonance. That's the ability that lets you get 2 summoning points for each time you cast or unbind. Very good in a Fangs of Sotek list so that you can generate those extra summoning points. Spells Rupture. Ooh. So as soon as I saw Rupture, I started scanning down this list. Oh, yep, we do have a Krondspine. So Rupture goes very well with the Krondspine so that you can make the Krondspine go wild. That helps the Krondspine out a lot so that it can run and charge. And it is a nice combination here in this army. So the Krondspine is bonded to the Slann. That's probably not too big of a deal, but that Krondspine is going to play very well into this. So what you're going to do is you're going to cast that Rupture. You're going to cast probably one of the endless spells, probably Malevolent Maelstrom, out pretty far on the board. You're going to run your Krondspine over to that, charge that endless spell. You can eat that endless spell to level up if you want to, or just use it for extra range on your Krondspine. Either way, lots of good abilities there. The Krondspine, if you've never played against it, can be very tough to destroy, especially if it like starts killing a monster or something and levels up, then it's pretty much game over. So Krondspine is very, very good in this edition with the addition of the Rupture spell. Think about that combo because it is quite good. We've also got Comet's Call on the Slann to do some mortal wounds. Very good. Lord Krox in this list, of course, to cast lots of spells, get lots of summoning points, and then do some damage. You can't do as much damage turn 1 as we used to do before the FAQ, but he's still quite good, and as you get him, you get him mid-board, and there's enough range on his stuff with the Astrolith Bear that you'll be able to kill quite a few things. We've got a Slann Starseer with Blizzard and Hoarfrost. Did he take a spell enhancement? Yeah, okay. Both good spells there. Hoarfrost to buff up your own stuff. Merciless Blizzard to kill other things. Another Starseer with Cosmic Crush and Merciless Blizzard. Got some mortal wound output there. And our Source Astrolith Bear with Arcane Tome. Probably going to be casting either Mystic Shield or one of the endless spells. Not a whole lot of bodies otherwise on the board. Just 2 units of Skinks and a unit of Source Guard. Very, very light on wound counts. But it makes up with the Krondspine. So the Krondspine is going to kind of be your anvil and your hammer here as you're popping mortal wounds from across the board, summoning in screens, and Krondspine is going to be doing the dirty work. A couple of battalions there, lots of drops. That's probably so you can place your Krondspine exactly where you want it. You're okay going high drops there. If you're going first, you're perfectly fine with that. So you can shoot that Krondspine across the board. So, Malevolent Maelstrom to blow up some stuff, do some more mortal wounds, and Suffocating even Gravetide just kind of to either play board control or you can kill off some hordes with that pretty well. And so it plays good into this list. The opponents that he faced, I looked at the opponents, and we had Ogre Maltrabs was his first opponent, and I think it was just 6 of the big guys. It was like 3 Stonehorns, 3 Thunder Tusks, which Krondspine absolutely loves. Because as Krondspine goes and kills each one of those, it levels up. And so if you can start off killing one of those one of the Stonehorns or Thunder Tusks early on, then the Krondspine it's going to be almost impossible to kill. So very good matchup into that. If he can see monsters in any of these lists, then he's very happy to play against that. Luckily, his second opponent was also Maw Tribes, and then third one was Big Wah, and fourth one was Storm Drakes. So he got lots of monsters to feed to Krondspine. Very cool. That's the kind of matchups that you want to see when you have a Krondspine in your list. The Storm Drakes, I would be a little worried about Storm Drakes normally in a Krox Slann focused list because they're going to shrug off so many of those wounds. But here, if you can start, if you can kill off one of those Storm Drake, just like one model, then you're going to level up that Krondspine. So that's going to feel real good against those Storm Drakes. As long as you play that well, I think you can have a favorable matchup there. His last opponent was almost not really a mirror match because there were a few little differences, but it was basically the same thing. They had Fangs of Sotek with a Krondspine. I would love to see this matchup. It may have come down to who went first and shot their Krondspine across the board. I don't know. But I bet that was a lot of fun seeing that matchup. So well done, Mike. A really great list there. Fangs of Sotek with a Krondspine. Real interesting. My next list that kind of jumped out to me. This one was a team tournament. So those are a little different in that you have a little bit of play on your matchups. So, it's not necessarily 1-to-1 with like a normal GT, but still a very interesting list here. And don't let the team format discount this list because I think this list is a lot of fun. So it was 4 games, and we're looking at Cody's list. He came in 3rd place in the player rankings. He went 3-1 with a Dracothian's Tail list. He also has Spellcasting Savant and a Triumph of Inspired. Looking at his leaders, he's got an Astrolith Bearer, a Starseer with Blizzard, a Slann Starmaster, with a little bit different loadout here. We've got Arcane Might, which I was really happy to see this because Arcane Might is a lot of fun in that you can control extra endless spells, which I don't know that that's as important, but you also get to double your endless spell range, which is very cool. So I really like Arcane Might because there's so many good endless spells right now. So as I look down at his list, he's got Pendulum, he's got Maelstrom, and he's got Spell Portal. You probably don't need it for Spell Portal, but Maelstrom and Pendulum work really well on this, especially Pendulum. Because he's got his Astrolith, so you're already adding 6 inches, and then you're going to double your spellcasting range. You can basically throw Pendulum wherever you want to on the board, and then it still gets to move. So just, here's D6 mortal wounds to whatever I want. You'll get some mortal wounds from Comet's Call, which is the Slann spell, and then Lord Krox, if he's casting Spell Portal, you'll get some more mortal wounds that way. If you're teleporting, your Starseer with the heroic action, you can get some more mortal wounds from things that way. So lots of unique abilities here. I really like Arcane Might on that. Artifact to power was Space Folder's Stave, so you can drop down something outside of 7 inches. Comet's Call, we said that. We got Lord Krox in the list too, some Source Guard, and 2 units of Skinks. Again, very light on the battle line there, but then here's what the fun part was. 3 Bastiladons with Ark of Sotek. This harkens back to some lists that we saw towards the end of our last book where, the Ark of Soteks were kind of taken in multiples, and I loved seeing it again here. Dracothian's Tail with this many Ark of Soteks is kind of fun because you can drop them down where you want to with your nodes, and you can have a lot of fun. So, Bastiladon with Ark of Soteks, if you don't know, they're 12 wounds on a 2-up save. You're going to roll 20 dice for each one, and 6s are mortal wounds, which doesn't do a whole lot of damage with one, but, if you get 3 of these into something, you're going to kill it. That's 60 dice, and 6s are mortal wounds. So, they kind of ramp up well together, and especially if you can put all 3 of those up in the sky and then drop them down exactly where you need to, one of them outside of 7, that's going to be fun. So, I really like that. Some good endless spells there that I think I already talked about. And then Core Battalions, we had the Acolytes for extra primal dice, the Battle Regiment, and Linebreaker for your monsters. So nice list there. he faced off against his first game was Gitz, and it had a ton of the squig herd in it. So I would have been interested to see how he dealt with those squig herds, because that can be pretty nasty. But he handled that opponent. On his second game, he took a loss versus Sylvaneth, but it was really close on the points there. The third one, he had Fangs. This was kind of your standard Croak Bomb. He beat the Croak Bomb list. So they still have the Troglodon in it, which I'm not seeing that as much in some of the Fangs of Sotek lists anymore. And then the fourth opponent was Cruel Boys, with a ton of Bolt Boys in it, which, those guys can take out the Bastiladons because they have enough mortal wound output that they can take those out. So he must have gotten into some of those and killed off them before they really had a chance to get into his Bastiladons or into Kroak or something. So nice job, Cody. Love the list. That one is a lot of fun. My third list I wanted to highlight here. This was, I didn't really see any other big GTs that we had some good performing lists at, but this one was a smaller one. It was just a one-dayer. This was in Spain, and 3 games, only 14 players, but I like this list, and he did really well with it. So Alfonso came in second place, went 3-0 with a Koatl's Claw list. I think this was our best performing Koatl's Claw Coalesce list that I had seen from the past 2 weekends. And he had some interesting choices here. So we're in Koatl's Claw, which gives you that +1 to wound when you charge with Saurus or Kroxigor. Grand strategy was Realm Shaper Engines, or Realm Shaper Guardian, which I really like. I mean, it's not a great grand strategy, but I like that he took it, and apparently he did well with it. So I've tried this one, and not good luck with me. So Alfonso, I think, is a better player than I am. So that one is where you have to keep the opponent away from your Realm Shaper engine. Your Realm Shaper engine by the end of the game. So, a great job there. We've got a Lord Kroak with, he has Empowered Celestite here. Lord Kroak knows all the spells, so that's fine. But that's kind of tipping his hand probably of this is what he's wanting to cast as a buff piece with Kroak. Starseer has Horror Frost as his spell. It's always kind of a question. Do I take Horror Frost or do I take Heavenly Frenzy and Koatl's Claw? I think they're both good, but here he's gone Horror Frost to give you the extra rend or maybe extra hits to hit, because both of them work well in this list. Our general is a Saurus Astrolith Bear with Vengeful Defender, which allows us to move our Saurus or Kroxigor units in the hero phase, which is just an amazing command trait. That is what makes Koatl's Claw work. Without that, we wouldn't have nearly as much fun in the Coalesce side of things. Artifact is Sotek's Gaze, which allows this hero to make the opponent not be able to capture an objective for models with 1 or 2 wounds if they're within 6 inches of this general. Really good, especially once you move into the middle of the board, which you're probably going to be doing with Kroak and the Astrolith, as you want to get them close enough to the action. If we haven't talked about that before, if you're new to Seraphon, Kroak and Astrolith are like, they're like 2 peas in a pod. They've got to go together. They're going to expand the range of Kroak so he can do his spammable mortal wounds in a bigger area. So that's usually how it's played in Koatl's Claw. You're going to be moving him up that little combo up towards the middle so you can start blasting some mortal wounds on the opponent. For our battle line, we've got 6 Aggradon Lancers with spears. They make a great unit in Koatl's Claw. So here we do have some power-ups we can give him. I don't know if he was planning on putting these buffs onto the Lancers or not, but if he's doing Empower Celestite on the Lancers, they already have spears, so they're already at -2 Ren. But I mean, I guess theoretically you could give Empower Celestite to the weapons to get it up to -3 Ren, and then Horror Frost, if you rolled 3 Ren, you could give it to the mounts on the Aggradons and get them up to -3 Rend. You might just instead give it to Kroxigor to give them some extra Rend. You can't do Empower Celestite on them, but you can get the Horror Frost on the Kroxigor. So you have ways to buff up both these units. We also have 6 Kroxigor in the battle line here, and both of those units are your hammers. You're going to be moving them forward. The Aggradons can definitely hit turn 1. Kroxigor probably not. They're only going to get a 5-inch move in hero, 5-inch move in movement phase, and without Heavenly Frenzy, you're going to have to you're going to have to make a big charge to get them in. But they make for a good turn 2 strike for sure. Source Guard to help guard Krox and the Astrolith, and 10 Warriors to, cap objectives and stuff. They got clubs on them there. And then Artillery Spawn of Chotek, which kind of leans into we're going to be doing a ton of Rend in this army. So if, you got Horror Frost off, you got Empower Celestite off, you got Spawn of Chotek off, you got a lot of ways to, get through the armor saves of the opponent. So the Spawn of Chotek does have a 4-up to hit. Man, I hate that thing. But when it goes off, it feels real good because it will reduce the save of the opponent by 1. And that just feels real good when that happens. Endless spells, we got Geminids and Suffocating Gravetide. So Geminids plays into, I think, the same strategy Alfonso's going for. Don't let them all out defense because Geminids will stop that. Then you've got all this extra Rend, and basically these units are going to hurt when they hit you. So I like that. We've also got some Hunters of Huanche with Starstone Bolas, 80 points there. A great little unit to be able to capture the skink-based battle tactic that you need to capture an objective with skinks. And so these Hunters of Huanche do that real well, especially if the opponent has to move off one of theirs. Just automatic, battle tactic there almost. So they can also be real annoying. They can help you out with the battle tactic where you need units on the sides of the boards. Just a lot of play with those, especially for 80 points. You set them up off the board, bring them down wherever you want to. So all that goes into a battle regiment for 1 drop. Very nice. Exactly 2,000 points. His opponents, he had Sylvaneth in game 1, then Idoneth in game 2. I think the Idoneth had a bunch of eels and sharks. So good job on getting through. They can still hit pretty hard, those eels and sharks can. And then last turn was Nurgle, which I'm hoping he had, the Starseer has a War Scroll spell to turn off wards. That comes in clutch with Nurgle. Any kind of Nurgle matchup where everything in their army has a ward, you're keeping that Starseer alive and just casting that every single time you can to turn off their wards so you can actually get through the amount of wounds that Nurgle brings. So, all right, so that was a good showing there for Koatl's Claw. And those are the 3 lists I picked out. If I missed one if you played a game this past weekend or 2 or the past month or so, let me know in the comments below how you did, because I love looking at lists. It's always fun. All right, guys. We'll see y'all on the next one.